What's happening, everyone? John Hendrix here for Boot Crew Media, coming at you with another episode of The Drive presented by Royal Honda and Metairie. Last day of August, lots happened in the past couple of days. You had the Saints getting down to 53 players on their roster, the initial 53-man roster, along with the rest of the 31 NFL teams. And then obviously the big one today is their practice squad took shape. So if you didn't know, the practice squad is 16 players. 6 of those guys can be veterans, meaning, if they have over 2 years experience, they can be on the practice squad. So it's pretty much, that 3 years and stuff. That's kind of where they go. And the other 10 can be guys that are rookies under 2 years under that threshold. So the Saints, interestingly enough, they filled out 15 of their 16 spots today. Really a lot of the familiar faces that you thought would come back came back. Kirk Merritt is back on the team. Dejon Dixon, Rashid Shaheed, Nick Martin, Eric Wilson came back. Nephi Sewell is another one that came back. Josh Andrews, offensive lineman. Chase Hansen came back. Taco Charlton, DeMarcus Fields, Vincent Gray. The only real actual surprise or maybe new addition that you talk about that the team had added is Christian Ringo. So he had spent some time with the Saints during 2020 and 2021, defensive tackle, UL Lafayette guy. He's a guy that, given their injuries right now that they're dealing with. So Albert Huggins went on IR right before the 53-man roster. He's gone for the year, but Malcolm Roach goes to IR today. And the difference there is the fact that Roach is actually able to come back. So the way the IR rules work this year is they have to miss a minimum of 4 games, not 3, and then they can come back afterwards. And so you can call up to 8 players this year, and you can actually call back players twice, but they would count to that 8 player limit. So let's say Roach comes back, has a setback, goes back on IR, you could technically call him back again, but he'd count against that 8 player limit. So no surprises. They also had Lucas Kroll on there. Jordan Jackson, their 6th round pick, was another one that they added. So really, you look at this practice squad. I mean, these are guys that you could use during the year. Some of the offensive linemen you're going to use pretty early, I would think, just because of, the injury to Trevor Penning is something to keep an eye on. He wasn't put on IR officially today. I mean, I know it's a significant injury, but, we'd expect that move to happen. Team also released Dwayne Washington today, so that frees up a roster spot. Claimed the offensive tackle from the Bills, so that counts to their 53-man roster. But, look, practice squad, you can call them up a few times this year. Up to 3 times is what you're able to bring them up this year. And so, look, this is part of the roster, if you will. And I think it's interesting because obviously the big news with this team is you traded CJ Gardner-Johnson to the Eagles. They feel like they have a lot of depth there at safety, that can play the slot. You could roll in Alontae Taylor. I think Bradley Roby's your favorite that's going to go there right now. And then obviously you look at PJ Williams as the guy. Tyrann Mathieu could play there. I mean, even Marcus May could play there. So, I get everybody's talking about compensation, but you talk about teams like, why didn't Atlanta get them? There's ties there, obviously, with the GM there. And then same thing with Detroit, Aaron Glenn, Dan Campbell. These are things that, you maybe think about, and that now that people may have come down to earth for this, that you can kind of think about that a little bit more. But, practice squad set. We're going to have more moves. I'd expect them to add a running back because now they're down to 3. If that's counting, not counting Adam Prentice. So Mark Ingram wasn't at practice. He was in the locker room. So I think everything's fine there, but nothing to really be concerned about. Health-wise, the team's getting better. The only question marks right now are Traquan Smith. It looks like it's a shoulder injury in a sling. So no moves on IR yet. That's something to keep an eye on. And then Michael Thomas with the hamstring. Again, hadn't seen him around. Doesn't mean that it's serious, significant or anything. But, look, obviously you look at what's happened in the past couple of years. You just want to make sure Michael Thomas is good to go week 1. And everything I've heard, it seems like that's the track. Everything should be good to go for week 1. But guys are getting better. They're getting healthier. Paulson Nedibo, ankle sprain that we found out today. But he seems to be doing okay. Says he's day-to-day. He would be in the lineup for week 1. So I don't think there's any cause cause for concern there. James Hurst was back. He was doing some work. No visible limitations on that. So that's good news. Landon Young's back. That's good. Pete Warner is participating in practice. Again, that's something that they're going to have to pay attention to with his groin. And he's just also another day-to-day, but he's participating in practice. So that's a good sign. And then Alontae Taylor is another one that's also participating in practice. So overall, health's pretty good on the team. A couple of spots that you might be a little bit more concerned about, but I would expect them to make some moves. That 16th spot on the practice squad could also be for a quarterback. You can't rule that out. Obviously, Ian Book went to the Eagles, was claimed off of them off of waivers to go to Philly, joining C.J. Gardner-Johnson. So, and it's kind of interesting, if you will, but yeah, and make your puns or whatever you want to call it here. But at any rate, got one more day to look at the team. Then they're going to have several off days, and then we kind of have next week a little bit of a lull, if you will, just because you got some different things happening. But football is right around the corner, September 11th. Atlanta Falcons in Atlanta. Can't get any better than that to open the season. And we'll obviously have plenty of coverage, a lot of thoughts, breakdowns, and everything else. I'm John Hendrix for Boot Crew Media. Thanks again to Royal Honda for producing today's show. Thanks, guys. Be good people.